and welcome to our Own It series. My name is Rachel. I am a volunteer coordinator with the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, as well as I'm a member of Public Allies, which is an AmeriCorps program. And I am joined by our 2022 national competition winner, Josh Kreuger. So
Hello.
Josh, why don't you tell everyone just a little 30-second elevator pitch about what your business is, and then we can move forward with the other fun questions.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Josh Kreuger. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm 19 years old. And I graduated high school last year. My business is called MODRN Media. It's basically a digital marketing company that employs content creators who don't have access to the materials and equipment that they need to jumpstart their career. And then we work with small businesses in the same communities. Yeah.
All right, that's awesome. So again, this is our national competition winner. And right now, our current batch of students are prepping for their regional competitions and getting their businesses all prepped. So I wanted to ask, at the national competition, you worked the whole day. Now just tell me what
Yes.
was like going through your mind and like all the fun details that happened on that day as you were climbing the ladder and then you were finally on that stage. So just tell me the whole story.
Yeah, so first off, I've never been to New York. The biggest city I ever went to was Chicago. So New York was a completely different story, and I love big cities. So that was like a surreal moment when I got there and you just get to Manhattan and there's all these big buildings. I'm like, all right, this is real. This is happening. It was crazy. And then of course, the day of the competition, I was really nervous. I met almost all the other competitors, and because there was, I believe, 32 other businesses. And so that was really nerve-wracking, but it was also really cool to see their businesses. But seeing what they had, I was like, you know what, if I don't move on to the next round, it's no big deal. Like that's literally what I was thinking the entire time, because all these other businesses were really great businesses, really great people behind them. And then I made it through the first round, and at that point I was like, no way. Like I couldn't believe it. And then I got to the next room, which was round two of the competition. And that was where I was like, all right, I'm not gonna place in this one. Like these other businesses, their pitches are like more refined, whatever. Like I was confident in mine, but I knew I was being realistic at the same time. And then we all got down to the ballroom, and they announced the three businesses that were going to national, or to the top three at the auditorium. And I was one of them. And I was like absolutely mind blown. So this is taking place from the morning all the way up until 4 p.m. And then at 4 p.m. we had to, or 5 or 6, we had to go to the auditorium. So I was busy all day. And then, the most nerve-wracking part was in the auditorium. We were in the backstage area, the green room, whatever. And I was hanging out with the two other competitors, and we were just becoming friends and stuff. And we were all just like, no matter what happens, we all came out like just in a good position. We all basically won. Like it's crazy. Um, and it was really nerve-wracking too. I've been on stage for things before, but nothing this big. And then the announcement, I mean, you can see in the video of me being announced the winner, I was just absolutely shocked. Like every time I got forward another round, I was shocked. It's crazy. So,
Yeah. Because for a little bit of context, that was a solid 18-hour day. You started
yeah,
extremely early and then you just
yeah,
went nonstop.
just about, yeah. It was a long day. It was worth it. It was really fun, but it definitely was a long day for sure.
Yeah. So now that the competition is done and you were able to very much like expand your business and your reach and who you were speaking to and networking with, um and it also in its own way reached a national audience.
Hmm.
So that being said, what have you been doing so far to continue the growth of your business?
Yeah, so right now, I have been working more on my personal branding, content creation career because, well, I had that call with Damon John. Part of winning the whole competition was having a call with Damon John, and I talked to Damon about my situation and how I have sort of like two things I'm really passionate about. And he said, whichever one you're more passionate about is going to take you further. But I also figured that if I put my personal branded content creation first, I can build more of a backbone before I go out and really execute this business. So that's what I'm doing right now. I am building my personal branded content creation, and it's going really well. I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm getting really decent views, and actually making a living off of it now. So I'm building this backbone basically of experience, a network, and portfolio of content to where then I can say, hey, look at what I've done. Now I'm going to build a business around this, like, down the line, and build exactly the business that I want to build eventually. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that is incredible. Well, first
Thank,
off, congratulations on 100,000. That is no easy feat.
thank
I
you.
hope that the
I'm
silver
almost
button
there.
comes in soon.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping it comes too, but it's crazy to even think I'm almost there. So
Could you go a little bit into detail about what type of content creation you do?
yeah. So I would describe my content creation. There's a lot of different niches on YouTube and other things. By the way, YouTube is basically where my best work goes out. So that's what I'm going to probably be referring to. But YouTube, there's a lot of niches on YouTube, and my niche, I would describe it as spectacle storytelling. That's sort of like what we call it in the back in the behind the scenes area, but it's essentially um you have a crazy idea, something you're going to do, and then you dive into the why, and then you tell a story about getting from point A to point B. So one of the series I did before was trading a rubber band for a pickup truck. So I made 5 episodes, and I traded a rubber band trade by trade, 5 episodes into a pickup truck. I told the whole story. So like that's an example of having a crazy idea and you tell the story behind it. And I'm in a lot of different content creation groups with a lot of amazing YouTubers and stuff, and we all strategize, and I strategize for my channel to I want to make content that essentially pushes the narrative of going out of your comfort zone, trying new things, um, because you'll have a better life if you always push yourself out of your own comfort zone. So that's basically, it's a very broad topic, but that's where I want my channel to lie in the landscape of YouTube. So
Yeah, that is. I couldn't help but laugh. I was trying to hold back laughing. A rubber band to a pickup truck. That
yeah,
is a jump.
yeah, it really is a jump, that's for sure. It
So,
was a long journey.
given the fact that when you're almost at 100K, how
Mhm.
do you, and you're continuing to work on growing, how do you maintain the audience that you have within your work that you've already gained? How do you maintain the
Yeah,
audience?
that's a really good question. So for there's a lot of in YouTube is one of the most open platforms when it comes to analytics and all the data behind your audience and everything. Not like personal data, but like I can see, what points of the video my audience are like the retention is dropping off and they stop watching, or I can see, like the age demographics of what my audience is. So you look at all that, you do a lot of analyzing your data on your YouTube channel, and also just I take a look at all my comments and see what people are saying. And not in the sense that I'm curating content for people, because I'm still going to make the content that I love, but it can guide me in a way of, the strategy that is behind every single video. So like one of my shorts on YouTube, I think is at 20 million views now. So that one compared to the one that has only like 400,000, I can say, hey, this format works better than this format. So then I can go, make a video in this format and still be creative with the idea, but make one in that format again, um, and see if it performs the same way. So just sort of knowing what my audience likes is really important. And there's a lot of factors that go into that.
So, kind of like a subset of from this question of maintaining your audience as you expand, how do you like, because you mentioned that you try and in a way cater your content to your audience, but how at the same time do you remain true to your vision
Yeah.
of this is my content and I am making my content?
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question. It is just a balance. So you're never going to be able to grow in the way that you want to grow if you only make stuff that like it's only you that likes it. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be people that like what you like. But for example, like when I'm editing a video, I run it by my friends that I have a Discord group of about 20 other creators. We're all super dedicated and I run it by them and we all work together on each other's videos as far as like ideas and thoughts. So I'll just share my screen, my editing software, and I'll spend 30, 40 hours of editing on one video and I'll say, hey, what in here doesn't make sense? What in here could be better? And by the way I'm doing that is saying, hey, this video, I want to get from this point to this point. I want to get from point A to point B. I want to get from the rubber band to the truck or whatever. And I want to tell a story that includes X, Y, and Z. Does this video that I just created, the video that I just created does that explain my creative story well enough? So that's a really good way of going about it is talking to other creators. But you can see like, you know, there's always room to improve. So it's not necessarily me changing the story that I want to tell or like the idea that I'm doing, but more of if you look at you can see a retention graph in YouTube, it kind of it'll flatten out. That's the best way to put it is if an audience member is sticking around on average, it's going to be a flat graph because they're not going to be like it's basically a percent. So let's say after 30 seconds, you retain 60% of the people that click on it. But then at like the 3 minute and 32-second mark or something, it drops by 10%. You go in there, you look at it and you say, hey, something I did here wasn't compelling to the viewer. So it's more of just improving how you're telling your story. So either way, I'm going to be getting across the story that I want to tell, but I can just do it in a better way every single time.
That that isn't first off, that is incredible that your short got 20 million views. That
Thank
is
you.
that is incredible.
I don't know how it happened, but again, it's that retention thing. I mean, a lot of people are like, how do I make a viral video? And it's like you're not really making the viral video. It's more of like and a lot of people also blame the algorithm, but replace the word algorithm with the word people or audience or viewers because the viewers and the people are making the algorithm basically. And so with my short, for example, it had a 96% retention rate on average. So on average, people are watching it almost all the way through, which is really hard to do because, you know, with today's landscape of social media, they're just scroll, 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 scroll. Just keep on scrolling to the next video. So whereas a video that has 70% retention is not going to get as many views. So it makes sense, but at the same time, I'm like, I still can't believe that it has that many views, you know?
Yeah. So just for a little bit of context, how long was your short? Was it the full 60 seconds or
It was 40 seconds.
okay.
40. My recent one I put out was the same format. So like I talked about using the same format, but for a different idea. It was the same format, but longer. And that one has an 80% retention rate, but the average length of 80% of 55 seconds, I think, is like 40 something seconds, whereas the other one was only 38. So in that video, they're watching longer. So maybe we'll see how that one performs. It's a lot of trial and error, experimental and stuff like that.
Yeah. You actually answered my sustain question of how do you how do you sustain both factors while remaining true to your vision? You answered that question. So
Thank you.
so this will be the last one. This will be the last question. So you mentioned the algorithm, and I know that that can be either a blessing or a bane of a creator's existence. So so again, you touched upon it briefly in the previous question. Could you go a bit more in depth about your experience with the algorithm and
Yeah, so the algorithm is a complicated thing. Like I said on YouTube, there's a whole backstage pass of analytics, basically. I mean, there's pages on pages on pages of analytics on everything you can think of. And that, for YouTube at least, is a way of viewing how the algorithm works. So on YouTube, basically, let's say now I'm going to talk about long form video. Before I was talking about the short form. Now I'll talk about the long form videos on YouTube. So there's a thing called the click-through rate, for example. The click-through rate is the rate at which people see your thumbnail and title and click on it. So you go to YouTube homepage, and you see, 30 videos and you pick one. So if 100 people see your thumbnail and 2 people click on your video, that's a 2% click-through rate. That plays into the algorithm. So YouTube's going to say, hey, this video has a higher click-through rate. It has a 10% click-through rate or a 15% click-through rate. So we're going to recommend it more. It's a very hand-in-hand trade-off situation where it makes sense what the algorithm is doing. But at the same time, it has a lot to do with the audience. So you could say, oh, the algorithm's not pushing my video out. I hate the algorithm, blah, blah, blah. But at the same exact time, the algorithm is dictated by the viewers that are clicking on your video. Or another reason that videos get recommended more is if they're watched through more. So if you have a higher retention on your long form, let's say you have a 50% retention and a competing video has a 40% retention, your video is going to get recommended more. But that percent is directly controlled by the people that are watching your video. So at the end of the day, it's individuals that are dictating how your video does. And some of it has to do with the algorithm. TikTok is a different story. TikTok has a lot of factors playing into it, and it's harder to reach your analytics on there. But I would say the algorithm is forever changing. It's also an AI, so YouTube doesn't really even know their algorithm fully. But it's adapting to millions of videos uploaded every single day, and it's changing. But again, it's the audience at the end of the day. So if you make videos that appeal to people and people watch, a certain percent of your video and they click on it a certain percent of the time, you can objectively say that this video is better than a video that doesn't do that. And you could say that, oh, this video has 10 million views because of the algorithm. I mean, you could say that, but it's also because the people watch it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was sort of a long answer and confusing, but
no, that was an awesome answer. Seriously, that was awesome. And it will definitely provide, and hopefully it'll provide some insight onto because everyone throws the word algorithm around without really knowing much about the nuance of it. So I appreciate it. So again, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm going to be
thank you for your time as well.
Yes, I'm going to be ending the interview here. Once again, my name is Rachel. I'm a volunteer coordinator with the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, as well as I'm a member of Public Allies, which is an AmeriCorps program. And I am joined by our 2022 national competition winner, Josh Kreuger. Once again, thank you for joining us, Josh, and I hope we can see you again on a future video.